West Cork Beard Company make beard oil and beard balm for a strong, healthy, great-looking beard. Handmade from all natural ingredients in Clonakilty, West Cork. Check out their YouTube channel for beard care tips and advice, or catch them online at westcorkbeardcompany.ie.
For Gooners everywhere, this is the ultimate football app for you. For match highlights, interviews, and the best Arsenal videos and podcasts. Download the free Gunners app now from the App Store and Google Play.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be around the world. That's normally Craig who says that, but we are well into our third podcast now for the Team Talk. I am your host tonight, Dan Potts, and it is the same old Arsenal Team Talk, and we're going to be talking about Liverpool. And the only reason that we're going to be doing this a little bit early is because I am going away for a couple of days, so I'm not about for the Friday evening. Joining me, back by popular demand this week, had a load of you saying how much you love the guy. Manny, how are you, bro?
I'm good, mate. I'm doing good, man. Surviving. It's been a long day.
Yeah, man, listen, we're nearly there at the end of the week. We are nearly there. And also joining us, and thank you for joining us, is a good friend of mine, Liverpool fan, Grizz. Grizz, how you doing, bro?
What's happening, man? Absolute pleasure, man. No need to thank me, man. We're family.
Oh, bless you. Thank you very much, man. It's an absolute pleasure to have you off. And joining you, lead judges, is normally Craig's ant to his deck, but the ant to my deck is Mr. Graham Brooks. Graham, how you doing, bro?
Oh, very well, mate. How are you?
I'm very well, man, and I'm loving this, man. I'm getting into this now, Graham. I think we're getting into it week by week, and hopefully we're getting better and better, man. So let's see how it goes. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it tonight because obviously we've got a lot to talk about, a lot to cram in, and obviously, we've won our last two games against Liverpool. So I think Grizz is going to be telling us how they're going to beat us at Anfield next week. I think they'll be up for revenge, mate. So let's get into it and dissect what's going to happen.
Well, we are going to get into it, and I know Grizz has got literally 45 minutes until his team kicks off, so I want to get into the Liverpool things. We're going to talk about Leicester and West Ham a little bit later on, but first of all, we're going to touch on some transfer business. Now, we've been having some debates on Twitter and been going into meltdown about Arsenal's lack of activity in the transfer market, but Manny, I'm going to come to you first on this. Should we be worried that we have 2 weeks left? We are linked only really with two players that we've been linked with for, it seems like, forever now. But should we be worried, or is there still enough time to get these two guys? And the two guys I'm talking about, I'm going to bring up on the screen. The first guy is Thomas Partey. Now, we have been linked with this guy for so long. He has a release clause of 45 million. There is rumours that Lucas Torreira is heavily linked to be going to Atletico Madrid. So that one, to me, sounds like it is not over yet. And the other one, which excites me greatly, is Houssem Aouar. Now, I believe this player is going to be one of the best players around. I love the guy. I think he's a beautiful footballer. And I think that when I watched him against Man City, if anybody does not know much about him, go back and watch that game in the Champions League, Man City-Lyon. He was fantastic. But Manny, my question is this. Is it too unrealistic to think that we can get these two players in the door in the next 2 weeks, Manny?
Unrealistic, no, because I believe in optimism. But it's going to be a difficult one because the position that we're in. We're not stacked with money. We have to get rid of deadwood in order to even have that conversation. So do I believe it could happen? It all depends on who gets out of the door, man. And it's a tragedy that we've been put in this position, but it is also a wake-up call that we have done terrible business in the past. And what you do in the past, it comes back to bite you in the future. So we can't complain, that we're not getting signings in, but we put ourselves in this position, so we just have to deal with it.
Yeah, listen, I'm totally with you. And I think that we're trying to get rid of these players, and we're still talking about players that even Gazidis and Arsene Wenger brought through the door, and people are saying today on Twitter, it's Kroenke needs to give us money, Kroenke needs to give us money. Listen, we need to get rid of these players, but it is very hard to do that because they're on ridiculous wages. And that, to me, is all down to Arsene Wenger and Ivan Gazidis. Now, Grizz, I'm going to bring you in on this one because I know you're a Liverpool fan, but from a Liverpool point of view, I know you're a massive fan of Houssem Aouar. I think you're a huge fan, you've told me. But buying Thomas Partey and Houssem Aouar for Arsenal, does that make, from a Liverpool point of view, you look at Arsenal and think, okay, they're serious now? Or is this just two players that we're just going to be giving to the squad, but we're still too short? How does you feel about this?
It definitely makes you serious. If you get these two players, and I've said it, we spoke a couple of weeks ago, well, about 4 weeks ago now, something like that, wasn't it, when you was first linked? And I said, if you get this Hossam guy, I'm going to be I'm going to say it, I'm going to be bitter. I'm going to be so bitter. I'm going to be so jealous if you get Hossam. I still think Partey is the more crucial for you guys, just from an outside opinion. Obviously, you know your club better than me. But to an outsider, I think Partey physicality, his energy, his drive is what you lack. I know El Nene's been like a new player and Xhaka looks like, Emmanuel Petit reincarnated. But Thomas Partey is what you need from the outside. Hossam Aouar is a playmaker. He can dig in and everything. But if you manage to get them two over the line, I tell you what, man, you guys are serious. I tell you, because I think you're serious anyway. I've been bigging up Arsenal. For all your listeners and viewers that don't know, I'm not one of these Liverpool fans that sort of hates Arsenal or anything like that. I think, I've always loved, since Wenger went over there, I've always loved Arsenal. And my son's actually an Arsenal fan, but keep that quiet for now. But yeah, if you guys manage to get either one of those two over the line, I think you're very serious for top four this season.
I hope so. I think it will certainly give us a chance of trying to cement that top four position, which ultimately, well, essentially, that's what we want. We just want to be realistic and try and push for that top four. Graham, I know that you're a fan of both players and you've got some stats for us. So what would it mean getting Thomas Partey and Hossam Aouar for Arsenal, Graham?
I think it'd be massive, Dan. Absolutely massive. I think Partey is the physical midfield enforcer that we've always needed, mate. And probably, as Grizz said, he's more important than Hossam Aouar. Last season for Atletico Madrid, his numbers were absolutely outstanding. He's got the ability to transition defence into attack with progressive line-breaking passes. He understands that position so well, transition from defence into attack. And that's what I like about him. And he's physical and he's powerful. And he'd add great protection to our back four. His numbers last year, he averaged a team-high 8.53 per game passes into the final third in La Liga. He was the most prolific ball winner, 7.86 balls won per game last year in La Liga. Wow. He completed second most take-ons, over 2 per game. He dribbled past an opponent 57 times during the season at an 89% success rate, the highest among 348 players in the division to attempt over 50 take-ons. Those are incredible numbers, aren't they, Dan? And I think,
well, it's ridiculous.
Yes, so he would be absolutely a tremendous acquisition, and he's what the team desperately needs. I think we all agree that. Hossam Aouar, 4 goals, 8 assists in Ligue 1 last year for Lyon, but he was in the Champions League. I think he really got noticed, particularly in that game against Man City. He was second to Memphis Depay last year in the Champions League for Lyon for chances created by a Lyon player. 11 chances created in the competition, 16 was by Memphis Depay. He completed 35 take-ons, the highest number for Lyon in the Champions League. And Lionel Messi, the great Lionel Messi, said of him that he is calm with the ball and he's got excellent technique. That's from Lionel Messi. So wow. This guy is a serious baller, mate. And
you can't get a bigger compliment than that, can you?
No, absolutely not. So if we got these
well, see Lionel Messi picking him up or me picking him up. So yeah.
So it would be massive, Dan. I mean, those two players, and I think what Arsenal have done is that they've obviously got their list drawn up. They are their Hossam Aouar is Arteta's number 1 target. Partey is what they've always wanted as well. But I think you've seen today the links to Jorginho and the guy from Roma, is it Diawara? And I think they got like a shopping list. We've always said you have a number 1 choice and then you have a number 2 choice. So I think that Arsenal are looking to get these deals over the line, but they've got like backup choices if they don't get what they want. The problem they've got, as you know, is that we've got these players on high wages. I mean, Torreira has been linked with Atletico Madrid. Apparently now Italian clubs are interested in him. There's talk of possibly a loan deal with an obligation to buy, but the important thing for Arsenal is to get his wages off the books, and it'd be the same with other players. But the trouble is, people, as you said, Dan, people like Kolasinac and Mustafi are on something ridiculous wages, something like 90 grand a week. And as you said, we've got Gazidis and Wenger to thank for that. And Liverpool, I have to say, are the epitome of how to do transfer business. The way that they've restructured their club, the way that they've sold players, made money and reinvested it into the team, I think is an example we need to follow. So, and I think they've done that magnificently over the last few years, and that's why they are where they are.
Well, listen, I totally agree. And Manny, I'm going to bring you in on this point because me and you talk, I'd say daily pretty much, about how jealous we are of Liverpool's transfer business. And it's not just who they bring in, it's who they sell, how they have managed to get some of the money for some of their players that I would say aren't even proven. But we're struggling to get rid of people that have won the World Cup. So talk to me about that, Manny, because I know that you've got a real kind of passion of this. And my other question to you after you've spoken about Liverpool is what you make of this Guendouzi and Jorginho swap, man. So there's two questions for you there, man.
Am I envious of how Liverpool did business? Of course, because they've maximized, and got a profit for awful footballers. Right, footballers like Benteke and then Sacco and they managed to get almost 20 mil for Solanke. The list is endless. Meanwhile, we're being told that players who are starting for us are good enough, yet other clubs won't come near us for them. So it shows the terrible business that we did. We were bent over by a lot of football clubs, right, and agents as well. Because when you sit here and you look at the wages, at this club, and you realize that we are, at the top in Europe, not in the Premier League, but in Europe as well, that we are amongst the top wage-wise. And then you look at the squad, it doesn't correlate. None of this makes sense. Hence why we're stuck with them. You hear the common noise that, I'm happy, I want to stay and fight for my place. That means that nobody else wants you, and I'm going to stay because I'm comfortable with my wages. That's all that means. So if Liverpool can get rid of Benteke for 30 million, you can't tell me that we can't get rid of some of the players that we have for more. But we can't because we put them on high wages. Like I've said, this is the mistakes that we've made. We're still paying for them, but we can't complain because this is what we did to ourselves. And in terms of Guendouzi and Jorginho, hell no. No. I don't like Jorginho. I don't like anything he represents. I still don't think the guy is good enough for the Premier League. He doesn't bring anything different to our midfield. We already have a Jorginho, in Xhaka. Why would we need another one? And replacing him with a player who's got a higher ceiling than him? No thanks. You can keep him.
Fair play. Graham, let's bring you in on that one. I heard it today on the way home on TalkSport. Guendouzi for Jorginho. Who gets the better deal there, Graham?
That's a good question, isn't it? One thing I will say, first of all, is I think that I don't want to sort of dampen Manny too much further, but I think that Arteta was at Man City when they tried to buy Jorginho, and that's caused a lot of bad blood between Man City and Chelsea. So obviously, I think Arteta likes him. Now, where would he sit in that midfield? Probably Xhaka sitting deeper and Jorginho more further forward. The problem I've got with Jorginho, he's got no legs. So basically, we'd have to change our style to sort Jorginho, and I'm not so sure. I agree with Manny. I don't think he would bring what we need to our midfield. Who's gotten a better deal out of that? Well, Guendouzi has got more potential, I think, long term, but his attitude's wrong. To be honest with you, I've lost faith in Guendouzi. I would like to see him sold, I'll be honest with you, even though he's got, we've said he's got potential. Who get the better deal? Probably Arsenal, because Jorginho probably is the better footballer at the moment. But obviously, Guendouzi in the long term could become a better footballer. So I can't answer the question more than that. But to be honest with you, I think Guendouzi's attitude, don't think Arteta likes. I think he's going to be on the peripheral this season. But he clearly likes Jorginho, and I think he's lining him up as a possibility.
Well, listen, I hope we get Thomas Partey and Hossein Mawar instead of Jorginho and a kind of replacement for Hossein Mawar. Now, I hear rumours that the Hossein Mawar deal to Arsenal is done. Obviously, I've made that quite public and told people that. The only rumour I'm hearing that could kind of defeat that is that there is another Champions League club that would like Hossein Mawar. So hopefully, if I've been told reliably that it's done, he won't be tempted. But we shall see. Anything can happen in football.
Dan,
Go on,
Dan.
Go on, Graham.
Can I just come in there while we're talking about Hossein Mawar? The Lyon president has come out and said today that financially Arsenal are like everyone else in a tricky spot. and Hussam could say to himself, the best thing could be to stay with us. So I think he's trying to talk up the price. That's
Of course
what
he
I.
is.
Yeah, and I
He's the
think it's
king
all
of
about
that.
money. I think it's all about money. They've got a habit of selling. They just want to get the right price for him.
Spot on.
Chris, go on, Chris.
Now
Yeah.
we've got loads of dealings with Leon. He's the king of sort of putting the price up. He's a seller. He just wants to sell at his price. He's a mean man to sort of deal with. But if you manage to get look, I'll say it. Even though we've managed to buy Thiago, if you manage to get Hasamoah, it'll be the signing of the season. I'm telling you now.
Wow, that's great.
Signing of
you
the
know what?
season.
Do you know what I think Thiago is? So do you know what? If we get Asamoah, let's see what happens. Manny, you've got quite a lot of info about this Leon guy. For me, Edu has got a great relationship with Juninho. Okay, that's a fact. Arteta's got a lot of links with his agents, who is the agent of Hasamoah. So there's a lot of an advantage point from Arsenal's point of view there. But like I do, and we've spoken about this Leon guy does not muck around.
Oh, Jean-Michel Aulas, he's horrible. He's horrible to deal with. He's horrible. He's a tough negotiator, to be honest with you. I'd love him at Arsenal, to be honest, man, because you're gonna get your money's worth with that dude. He's gonna play these games. He's gonna make it hard. He's gonna make it difficult. The ball is in our court. You come to Lyon with an offer that he can't refuse. He will be sold. It's the same thing with Lacazette. You just have to be serious in your negotiations. You can't go there and expect him to, drop the price because we've come to the last week of the season. No. You need to come correct. And I agree with that. So we come correct with the right deal. We get the player. So the onus is on us.
Yeah, I think it's a great shout. And listen, if we are serious about both players, we need to do what is best to get them both through the door. Because like Grizz says, I honestly am excited if we get both these players. Grizz, you're with us for another just under half hour. I want to get into Liverpool. I'm going to share the team that you believe it's going to be, mate. And I want you to just talk about what's been happening, particularly with Fabinho at the back and then Thiago coming into your midfield. So let me just share this screen, man, because I did have the team up that you thought it was going to be. Because it is going to get kind of interesting in midfield, in my opinion. I don't know if you can see that team. Is that come up?
Yeah,
It has.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Talk to me about this team then, Grizz, because this is going to be an interesting game on Monday night.
Yeah, well, the only sort of debating point in terms of the lineup will be the fitness of our captain, Henderson. So if Henderson sort of does make it, then I expect sort of Ronaldo to be sort of left out of the team. But it's 50-50 at the moment. I don't think he'll be risked. With the Fabinho as centre-back, it's quite straightforward. Our other two centre-backs are injured. Matip's out for a month or so, won't be back until the international break. And Gomez is touch and go for Monday. He's supposed to be starting training tomorrow. So it's touch and go. Even if he's touch and go, I've got a feeling after the performance Fabinho put up against our apparent rivals for the title this season, Chelsea on Sunday, I think he probably keeps his shirt, in my opinion. Many people were worried about Fabinho playing centre back, but I think it suits him down to the ground. People forget that he was an actual defender at Monaco. He started his career off as a defender, as a right back, and then he was sort of put into midfield, even then as a defensive midfielder. So, defence is second nature to him.
Listen, I'm not going to lie. I thought Fabinho was probably one of your best players against Chelsea. I was really, really impressed with him. I really was. But I'm going to put up this question here for you, Grizz, because shout out to Trev, by the way. Thanks for watching, Trev. Top man is Trev. He says, Grizz, is Virgil van Dijk a weakness at the moment? And to be fair, that sounds a madness comment for his performances over the last season. But the last couple, I haven't been so confident myself. So what do you make of that, Grizz?
Yeah, no, it's fair comment in terms of his focus. Some people have said his focus hasn't been there. He's been sort of nonchalant, but people forget that's how he plays. And all it needed was sort of to get the rust out of his game. He'll always have that arrogance, that aura, that nonchalance about him. When it comes off, he looks immaculate. When it messes up like he did against Leeds, sort of it can look ugly. But again, a lot of Liverpool fans were slightly worried as well, especially with the makeshift centre-back alongside him. But I tell you what, he was back to his ultimate best against Chelsea. I don't know if you saw the whole game, but even before the 10 men, we just didn't let them breathe. And He was
Oh, you were
barking
good.
out orders. He was back to his commanding best. And that's why I'm not too worried about him, because he's one of those captains. He's one of those characters that knows when to raise it and say what we want. It's only human nature. We did die, we did, after we secured the title, we did have lapses in concentration. We weren't our usual focused self, but nothing like a game against Leeds, like in the opening game where they gave us a terrible time to refocus. It didn't cost us. We got away with the win. It wasn't a very brilliant performance, but but the Chelsea game, I said it all week, if we don't focus, they will hurt us, because it's the hipsters team, isn't it? It's the name on everyone's lips, Chelsea, Chelsea. But then we just put them to the sword. We told him, like, take a seat, you're not ready for us yet. And I think he's back to his best now. So I wouldn't say he's a weakness right now, no.
Fair enough. And I have to bring up what you've just said there at the end. It was literally like, to come up and Havertz who and Werner who. It really was. I watched the whole game and I thought you dominated from start to finish. And as soon as it was Kepa's howler and going down to 10 men, I thought there's only one team that's ever going to be coming out of this, even with them still on the pitch. Manny, I'll bring you in because I know you watched the game. This Liverpool side played very, very well. And I'm not going to lie, bro, if they play like that against us, it could be a very difficult time for us. What do you make of Liverpool?
Yeah, I didn't watch the game against Chelsea. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, sorry, man. I thought you did.
No, I didn't, because I knew what was gonna happen. But to be honest with you, Potts, the time to be worried about Liverpool is done, because we've played them, we've beaten them. They're way ahead of us. So worrying about what Liverpool are doing is not important. We can actually go to Anfield and be a bit more relaxed and settle in our shape and get them to try to break us down and maybe hit them on the break. So the time for me to be worried about this fixture is when we're actually competing with them. Right now, we're just trying to catch them up. So it's a case of, can we beat you, and can we take that into the next fixture, and then the following season? That's the way I see it.
Yeah, I think that's a fair comment as well. We are miles away from it on paper. And the way they play football, there's been two teams I've enjoyed watching over the last 2 seasons, Liverpool and Bayern Munich. And one of the main reasons was because of Thiago. And now they've got Thiago as well. It's like this has, for me, given them a back-to-back title. Graham, what do you make of the Thiago signing? Because for me, I just think that's made them even stronger. I really do.
Yeah, 100% agree with Dan. He's a fantastic player, and he gives their midfield something extra, doesn't he? I think it means that I've always thought with Liverpool, and I'm not disrespecting Liverpool here, because I think they are the best team in the league. They're ahead of Man City now. I think what Klopp's done at Liverpool is absolutely fantastic, and they are a long way ahead of us. We know that. Although we beat them in the Community Shield, albeit on penalties, and we beat them at the Emirates in that league game, they dominated the games in terms of possession, and it was, and I think our record at Anfield isn't very good, and I think what Thiago is going to bring to their midfield is more energy, but more technical ability. He's a very good technical player. So I think I've always felt with Liverpool, their midfield is full of energy, trying to get that ball forward as quickly as possible to the forwards in transition and use their pace. I think he gives them another dimension. And I think what they bought him for, Dan, is I think one thing Liverpool had a problem with, if they have had any problems over the last year, is that when teams sit really deep in low blocks with 8 or 9 players behind the ball, he just wants that something extra that's going to unlock the door. If they can't get the ball transition quickly up to the forwards. And I think he offers them that. I think he's a very talented and a great player and a tremendous acquisition for Liverpool. I think he is the signing of the summer so far. He adds that something to their team, Dan.
I have to totally 100% agree. And Grizz, I know that when we spoke a few weeks back before you signed him, you were really excited and you were buzzing for it. So as far as you're concerned, is this just what you needed, or is it just going to add some strength in depth now?
Yeah, Graham, spot on. If there was a weakness or sort of somewhere where you can say Liverpool are lacking, it was sort of creativity in midfield. Well, I think by listening to all of you lot, we're all Thiago fans. Forget that he's come to Liverpool. Before Liverpool, everyone who likes football will enjoy Thiago, and he's just a different level. He's an elite footballer. He's Mr. Creativity. The games against Arsenal were probably our 2 most difficult games in terms of, I know the first game we'd won the title when we literally gave you 2 goals, but the actual setup of Arsenal really troubled us in terms of actually making open, clear-cut chances. And maybe that was not just, I'm not saying just that game, but sort of that type of game would have sort of played into sort of Klopp and coaches' heads like, look, because Arteta's game plan was brilliant. I said it to you when we've done the podcast together, that in terms of blocking our fullbacks and our doubling up on our fullbacks and our wingers, and then just leaving the three in midfield to have space to keep passing it sideways, it worked a treat. And coming up to sort of talking about the next Monday's game, I think that will be a slight problem now for if they do the same tactics, because if you give Thiago time now, and this is what we bought him for have the extra weapon in our armory, because if you give Thiago time, it's a total different ball game to giving Gini Wijnaldum time. Do you know what I mean? Thiago will find a pass with eyes closed, everything, man. So he's an extra weapon in our armory, and I think he'll just elevate the other players around him. It's mad saying it, and a lot of Liverpool fans have been saying it. We've been having discussions on our podcast and everything as well. But I think it's fair to say that Thiago is probably the biggest name signing we've ever made. And what I mean by that is he's the complete footballer at his peak age, won everything, and he's wanted to come to Liverpool, for less money than what PSG were giving him, for what Chelsea were giving him, what United were giving him. And that's a massive, massive statement. And that's literally all down to Jurgen Klopp. So as a Liverpool fan, it's mad exciting to see him on top of the front three that we've got, that front three that you guys unfortunately know about, more than others. Do you know what I mean? But as I said, and I've been saying it all week, this, normally Arsenal at home, get the old cigar out, flip-flops, 3-1, 4-1, we know, but not this time. And I've been saying all week, Arsenal have been building. Arteta has a game plan, he's a structure, unlike any other manager you've had in the recent years. And it's an exciting time to be an Arsenal fan as well. I think we're in for a cracking match on Monday, to be honest with you.
Well, it's interesting you bring the front three up, because they have terrorised us for the last few seasons, Grizz. You know it, 5-1s, 5-3s, 4-1s, 3-0s. You just sit there and just be embarrassed as an Arsenal fan. But there's something about the last couple of games I saw differently. And Graham and Manny and I were talking about it the last couple of weeks, about how Arteta's system is now starting to work. And I think with Arteta, what he's done is he's installed belief, but he's found a system that he not necessarily wants to play, because I still believe he wants to play 4-3-3, but he's found a system that works because of the tools he's got. And I think this three at the back situation has really started to work. And we saw it against Man City, Chelsea and Liverpool at the Emirates, because it's getting to the big teams that we have always struggled against when we had Wenger and Emery. And all of a sudden now, it seems to me that we've got, I don't know, some kind of respect when people come to play us now in the big team. So I spoke to you a few weeks ago, Grizz, and you just said this isn't going to be the same Arsenal that turn up. But there's something in the back of my mind that always worries me, because I know we've got it in us, and I just hope now that we can go there with the confidence. So what do you make of that statement, Grizz, that we are now respected more? Would you believe that to be true because of Mikel Arteta?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, look, banter aside, if anyone says otherwise, they're being foolish, they're being stupid. It's visible. The difference in sort of the setup, the difference in the players, and what the biggest criticism most fans had of Arsenal was the weak mentality. When Arsenal go 1-0 down and get a bit of bullying, a few tackles here and there, you don't want to know. And it's going to end up 2-3-0, right? Any tough away game, Arsenal, put money on the other team. It's totally different under Arteta. He's instilled that mentality. From what I can see, from the outside, I can definitely see a shift in mentality in Arsenal. And that's why I was more worried about the Arsenal game than the Chelsea game. I knew, Chelsea to be honest with you, I thought Chelsea might try to come at us, and sort of, they've got Havertz and Werner now, they might go toe-to-toe. It turns out he shits himself, right, Lampard, but that's up to him, right? But Arsenal, what I've seen at Arsenal and especially under Arteta, he's smart. He knows who to go toe-to-toe with, who not to go toe-to-toe with. Before, all your previous managers have come out trying to play football from the back and this and that against us. You don't do that against us. We'll catch you and we'll murder you. But this team under Arsenal, and you've seen it in the results, and you've seen how many times you've sort of last-minute winners or come back and sort of beating City beating City, beating Liverpool. These are big results. Do you know what I mean? These are confidence results. This will give you confidence. I think he's got a very good thing going in terms of changing the players' perception and mentalities. And that's the start. He knows he hasn't got his players in. By the way, he's sort of going in the transfer market, trying to pull in the midfielders that he's trying to pull in. He knows Aubameyang's his wild card. He knows that's his best card, and he's trying to structure a defense around him to give him the chance that if Aubameyang gets 1 or 2 chances, boom, get a goal and we can stick on. And it's worked for him in the big games. Fair play to him.
Grizz,
Yeah.
I think, Dan, I was just going to say to Grizz, I think he might find we still might try to play out from the back on Monday night, funny enough. I think my take on it, Grizz, is I think Arteta's changed the culture at the club. We are no longer a soft touch away from home, particularly. And I'll tell you how he's done it. It's all about off the ball. He's demanding work rate, pressing from the front, and players are bought into that philosophy. And there's a collective energy in the team there that they want to work for each other off the ball. That's the big change I think he's instilled into the team. There's a change of culture in the club. But I think in answer to your question, I understand what you're saying. I will touch on later when we talk about, I think, the best way for Arsenal to play in this game. There's a collective energy about the team now. But make no mistake, Grizz, you are a long way ahead of us. Our record at Anfield isn't great, and this will see where we are. We've played you at home at the Emirates.
Oh, absolutely great.
Yeah,
absolutely
great. Anfield, there'll be no crowd at Anfield. I admit there'll be no crowd, but Liverpool at Anfield is a real test, and we'll see how far where we are.
Well, I've been chatting to Arsenal mates all week, and they've been throwing the record of the last 2 games. And I said to them, look, enjoy it. Well done. You beat us in the league, and you won the Charity Shield, whatever, on the penalty shootout. But this will show you how far your team's come.
Yeah, I agree.
Because this is when we're serious. And I know it's easy for me to say we weren't serious in the Charity Shield or whatever, because we lost. But I'm genuinely telling you, we weren't serious. This is the test. And this will show you how far you come. And that's why I'm confident, because we're Liverpool and we're champions and we've got a good record. But I'm also totally aware of how much Arsenal have improved and how much he sort of has instilled, as you said, the right mentality. And getting rid of the likes of Guendouzi and whatnot, this I think is fantastic. I think you guys should be absolutely applauding the manager in terms of he knows the type of player he wants, no messing about. Anyone who doesn't want to play up to his rules and his regulations is out of the door. And I think he's created that sort of mentality amongst everyone. Like, he had a bit of hoo-ha with David Luiz, sorted behind closed doors. David Luiz comes out like a new man. Do you know what I mean? Other youngsters, Maitland-Niles wants to leave, but no, he realizes the project. He sees the project makes sense, wants to stay. From an Arsenal point of view, it's definitely going in the right direction. But this will be your litmus test. This will be your ultimate test against us, because now we're proper psyched up for the title. We were a bit, everyone was saying, Liverpool don't look the same. But, the Chelsea game, trust me, we look the same. Whoever didn't watch it, I know Manny says he didn't watch it, but we proper looked solid again.
I agree. I watched the whole game and thought absolutely spot on. Grizz, you're getting a lot of love in the comments in the live chat, man. I heard you called a lot of things, but no one's ever called me a unicorn before. But there you go. Dan, you found a unicorn.
Articulate me now, man. I'm just trying to be extra careful here, because normally I'm not like this. Dan knows.
You've also got an identical beard to Danny from Burkamp Wonderland podcast. Thanks for watching, Danny. Lovely. There we go. That's a compliment as well, because Danny's got a lovely beard.
Yeah, normally I get called in the Wolves manager. I'll take anything at the moment.
Oh, mate, absolutely. Grizz, I'm going to let you go in a couple of minutes because I know you've got a big game you want to watch. But I just want 2 things before you do go. I want you to pick an Arsenal player that you would love to select to play into Liverpool's team, and I want you to give me a score prediction for Monday's night's game.
So the obvious ones, Aubameyang, it's clear as daylight, but I'm going to surprise a few people, and I'm going to say Kieran Tierney. Is it Kieran first name?
Kieran Tierney, yeah.
When you was linked with him, I was telling my mates and I was telling my son, son, you got to be excited. He goes, yeah, is he good? And he was like, and I was like, sharing my knowledge with him, and I said, if you can keep him fit, he's going to be an outstanding footballer for you. He's got it all. He's Robbo part 2. I know you guys have been playing him sort of as a left-sided centre-back, but it just shows you the class of the boy that he's fitted in there. He's actually a bloody brilliant attacking left back in an orthodox 4-4-2. So I just love the kid. Aubameyang's the easy answer. Everyone wants Aubameyang. Aubameyang gets into every team. Let's not be around the bush, right? You make space for Aubameyang, yeah? But Tierney, you've got an absolute gem. Obviously, he's got the slight injury issues, whatever. But if he stays fit, man, that's one player I would have loved at Liverpool, Kieran Tierney. As far as the score goes, you put me on the spot now. I've been giving the Arsenal the big build-up, and now I'm going to slap you with a 3-0 now. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be very tight. I think we're going to look to be. I don't think we're going to go gung ho at you. I think we're going to have learned. Klopp's always learning. Klopp never makes the same mistake 2 or 3 times. Do you know what I mean? So I think we're going to look to keep a clean sheet against you first and foremost. I know that sounds like whoa. Like, I'm not saying we're going to go defensive against you. I'm just going to say we're going to have our wits about us, like in terms of getting caught on the break like we have in recent games against you a lot. I'm going to go 2-0 Liverpool.
A repeat of Chelsea then, a repeat of the Chelsea game, 2-0.
We're looking solid again. Unfortunately for you guys, we've just turned the corner. If you caught us maybe in the first game like Leeds, it could have been a different story, but we look really focused again.
Fair enough. We have a few Liverpool fans in the live chat saying they take Lacazette after Aubameyang. They would take Saka. Someone says they'd like Saka.
Yeah,
Saka's a good player.
Fantastic player.
Fantastic player. You've picked my 2 favourite players, bro. Aubameyang and Kieran Tierney. They are my 2 favourite players, and I think that they are fantastic. So I would respect you for both picking that. Before you do go, I'm going to ask Graham and Manny for their predictions for the Monday night game, and then we'll let you go and watch Liverpool lose to Lincoln, mate. Graham, we'll start with you, man. What do you reckon the score is going to be on Monday?
You know me, I'm a super optimist. I think for us to have any chance to win this game, Dan, we've got to score first. If we score first, and then we can sort of set out our stall like we did in the Community Shield, I think we got a chance. And I know we came back from 1 goal down at the Emirates in the league game at the back end of last season, but I think Liverpool had won the league by then, and I think that was, I think that was part of the factor that I'm not saying they wanted to lose the game, but players mentally had won the league and they do switch off slightly, so that
they're on
helped us
holiday
in
a
that
bit,
game. Yeah, a little bit. So I think for us to get anything out of this game, we've got to score first. And I think when we played there last year, we defended well for 40 minutes. We conceded right on half time. David Luiz, who I think will come back into the team on Monday night, managed to give away a penalty and made another error, and we lost the game 3-1, didn't we, with a late goal. I think this is a massive test for us. I do think Liverpool are too strong. I think Grizz is probably right, and I'm going to have to say I think Liverpool will win the game. I think I'm going to be my head is obviously wanting a draw. My heart says a draw, but my head realistically says I think it'll be a 2-0 to Liverpool.
Okay, I'm going to kind of half agree with both of you, but I think we'll score. So I think we're going to lose this game narrowly. I don't think it's going to be a 4 or 5-1, but I do think Liverpool are going to win 2-1. So, Manny, let's come to you. I think 2-1. The boys think 2-0. Manny, what do you reckon the score is going to be, bro?
2-1. 2-1 to them.
Yeah, listen, it's going to be a real difficult one for us, I think. Grizz, mate, thank you so much for coming on, man. I really appreciate it. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I'd love to get you on again for the reverse fixture. And good luck on Monday. Good luck for the rest of the season, but I hope you don't win, obviously.
Of course, man. Not even an issue, man. Anytime. Thank you very much, guys. Lovely speaking to you. Hope to catch you soon. Good luck in the rest of the season, apart from the 2 games against us, man.
Thanks a lot, Grizz. You take it easy, man, and good luck tonight. Take care, man.
Bye-bye.
Bye, mate. Grizz there. Please go and follow him on Twitter. Really appreciate him coming on. Graham, let's get down to business because we want to try and win this game. We want to try and pick a kind of draw even. How are we going to set up against this Liverpool side, do you think? And how are we going to try and nick up at least a point?
I think he'll go with basically the same formation that he's been using all season. Dan, I think we'll stick to the 3-4-3. I think there will be one change to the team on Monday night. I think David Luiz will come in for holding. So I think he'll go with Leno, the goalkeeper, Be interesting to see. I think Louise will probably play central, so I think that's going to push Gabriel to the right, even though he's left-footed. Because I think Kieran Tierney, we talked about this, me and you today, didn't we? We think he's going to be fit. I think he was taken out of the West Ham game as a precaution with the hip injury. I think he's close to being fit for Monday. So I think the back three will probably be Gabriel, Louise, and Tierney. I think he'll play wing backs. I think it'll be Bellerin on the right, and I think Maitland-Niles will come back into the team in place of Saka. I think, and you'll have Xhaka and Ceballos in central midfield in the pivot. The reason why I think Maitland-Niles come back in to offer us a bit more structure and shape and defensive solidity, I think you might see this season Maitland-Niles and Saka sort of like rotating. When we're at home, Saka plays for his more creativity and ability to get forward and line breaking passes. And Maitland-Niles plays in the away games. And then up front, of course, I think it will still be Willian, Lacazette and Aubameyang. So that will be my 11. Just the one change from there'll be two changes. One, a Tierney coming back in for Kolasinac. And I think Louise coming in for Holding. I think that'll be the changes to the side.
Fair play. Manny, let's bring you in, man, because this is going to be a tough game. We know it is. Are you with Graham there? Do you think that's how we'll line up? And are you expecting it to be a similar performance to the kind of cup games as such? Because we can seem to get up for these big games, and this would be seen as a huge game, wouldn't it?
It is a huge game. I think Arteta will probably drill it into the players. It's like, he'll want them to be at ease. He'll want them to be relaxed and go out there and express themselves and show Liverpool what we're all about. Don't want to see Kolasinac in this game. Awful footballer. Tierney will come back in. David Luiz will come back in. I think it'll be David Luiz, Gabriel, and Tierney, left centre back. I think Maitland-Niles will come in there because, like Graham says, he plays away games and he has a habit of, clamping down, big players. We've seen it with Zaha, we've seen it with Martial, we've seen it with Traore. We saw it in the cup final and semi-final. Bellerin will come back in, same front three. It'll be Ceballos and Xhaka. So it's we know how to play the system. I think the players understand their roles. The players know what they're doing. We know that, people in the comments are saying that Lacazette will be put on Thiago. I do see that happening.
Yeah,
to an extent.
I see that, yeah.
And I do see, Maitland-Niles being our trump card because when he comes into midfield, he's aggressive. He's a runner. They're going to have to follow him back there. So we do have some trump cards as well. And if Liverpool, sleep on us, we will punish them. So, yeah.
I think for me, Dan, the key is our work rate and our pressing. I think that's the way that we beat them at the Emirates. I think we've got to literally press out of possession, up high. And I think our two wide forwards would need to come central to press Liverpool's two centre-backs. To cut out the passing lanes to Trent Alexander and Robinson, that's key. I think whoever said that in the comments is correct. I think Lacazette will come and sit on Thiago to stop him from working the space and getting passes off. And I think it's important that Xhaka and Ceballos press on to their other two central midfielders, Henderson and
Wijnaldum and Keita. Apparently Henderson may be injured, but go on.
Oh, is he?
I've lost Graham. Where is he? He's back.
Yeah, and I think our wing-backs need to press on to their full-backs. And we've got to be aware, I think, of Mane, Dan. Mane's got this habit of shifting out wide into wide areas. And we saw last week the way West Ham exposed us on the right-hand side. And I think Mane could easily shift out wide and find some space out there. And hurt us. So I think out of possession, we've got to, as I say, stop them building up their play, nullify them getting out to Trent Alexander and to Robertson, who are their key players. I think they are their key players. And also Laka sitting on Thiago as well, out of possession. And I think what we're trying to do is, I think if we can get the first goal, then he can sort of like crowd the midfield, stop the passing lane second half, and sit on a lead. I think what we should try and do with Louise back in the team and with Tierney, Dan, we should be looking to sort of go long, sort of like, because Liverpool will play a high line. We know Liverpool like to play a high line. They push their centre halves up because they're confident that Van Dijk's very good in recoveries. So I think that we should be looking to play that ball early over the top towards Aubameyang and see whether that sort of like gets them thinking about playing not so high up and sit deeper, which I think could be key. But I think we saw in the game in the Community Shield the way we play out. We will play out from the back, Dan. We will try and play around their press.
Yeah.
And we will try and get it up to Laka and try and switch the play and get Aubameyang in on that left-hand side. So the key really is to press well, stop Liverpool playing out, building up with Thiago, and then trying to sort of, I think, where we can, go long, push them back, stretch them, and see whether we can sort of like create from that position. I think it's imperative we get the first goal. If they score first and we have to change our structure and our shape, they could hurt us again and put the game to bed. But I think that's the way I would look at it. It's very important that the players continue with this philosophy of working hard, pressing it. And we did it, didn't we? If you think back to the game at the Emirates Stand, our 2 goals in that game came through pressing them into mistakes, didn't it? For Nelson and for Lacazette, yeah. And I think Liverpool would have learnt from that. But I think that's still the way for us to go. They are ahead of us in the times. They've got so much quality in their team. But to give them a game, I think these are the basic non-negotiable principles Arteta wants: work rate and pressing off the ball. And I think we're trying to stretch them on the counter.
Well, I've been impressed with how Arteta has been setting up, and I've been impressed with the high intensity and the pressing. And the last goal against West Ham, for me, that was a pretty poor game. And just touching on the West Ham and Leicester before we kind of start to wrap up, Graham, it's all linked because it's about Arteta's system. But I just want you to talk me through that goal, because I thought for me it was the kind of coming together, and that was why I believe Arteta was so happy at the end, because it kind of had worked. And I think it was so important what you were saying about Ceballos and Xhaka and how they kind of switched in midfield.
Yeah, I think that was the key to the second half, because the way the second half unravelled, West Ham sort of like in that second half, I think that they basically, once they got back level at half time, the way the second half played out, that first 20 minutes they were in control, exploiting our right hand side, Dan, and Musaka, who played as a left wing back, him and Cresswell were combining very well down that side, and cross after cross was coming into our box. And I think if Antonio had taken one of those chances, we could have lost the game. But I think what Arteta did really well is he recognised the problem. And he switched Xhaka and Ceballos over. As I said to you, Ceballos was on the right. He came over to the left, and Xhaka was on the left, and he came over to the right. I mean, that took something away from our build-up probably, because Xhaka is the build-up player. But Xhaka went over, I think, as a defensive measure to help out on that right-hand side to try and stop those crosses coming in. And Ceballos drifted over to the left. And that, in a way, indirectly led to us winning the game, in that eventually, as we've found the mentality to come again that last 15 minutes, Ceballos popped up on the left-hand side once he came over onto that side. And he was the one who, when Saka got the ball, Saka was the one who played the pass into Ceballos, who then, and that was a lovely weighted ball, and then he could have shot, but he had a lovely weighted ball for Eddie to win the game. And so I suppose really, Dan, it was like a smash and grab performance and a very lucky 3 points. I think Dan Lawless, West Ham Fan TV, who came on last week, will probably feel very disappointed, because West Ham deserved to win that game.
Yeah, absolutely.
We did not deserve to win it. And what amazed me actually, Dan, was that post-match in his interview, Arteta said that basically it had been one of the best weeks the team had in training that he'd seen in his time at the club before any game. But unfortunately, it seemed once the game started, it was clear that the players had left the good work on the training ground, and they didn't take it into the game. There was too many misplaced passes. Nobody had a first touch. The ball simply did not move quick enough through central midfield with any conviction. And what that did, that encouraged West Ham, Dan, right from the start. West Ham saw immediately that Arsenal were not at it from the off. And I think West Ham stopped us by recognising how we like to build up play. The connection between the centre halves and the midfield pivot. I think they squeezed up high, got the passing lanes blocked off. And when they matched us in formation with that 3-4-3 shape, they were able to sort of like cover the lanes of the pitch. And with Kohler coming in for Tierney, I think that disrupted us in so many ways. It was clear that there was no confidence in the team in passing to him. He had no confidence himself. I think he only played 4 passes to Saka, our left wing back, in the whole game, whereas Tierney normally averages about 13. So that's the difference. And the change that obviously Saka coming in, I think Saka was key in the game because he obviously released the pass for Aubameyang for the assist to Laka's goal. And then obviously it was his pass, as I said, for the winner. But I was very disappointed, Dan, with our defending for their equaliser. Very disappointed. I'll tell you what really upset me. We didn't manage that game situation very well. Bellerin was attacking up the right-hand side, found himself almost like in the centre-forward position when we lost the ball. So when they sprung through Bowen, when it came down that side, I thought Kolasinac has got to stop that cross coming in, Dan. He has to stop the cross. And I think Holding has to anticipate the cross coming in and try and get across Antonio. Kolasinac didn't block the cross. Holding didn't react quick enough, and Antonio gets his goal. But I think West Ham played really well in that game. And if I was Dan Lawless, I'd be really impressed and encouraged by the way that they played in that game, to think that they could take that into further games. I think in central midfield, Jack and Ceballos struggled to find any rhythm. I thought Willian was coming deep a lot because he wasn't getting the ball. And they were pressing us high. I'll tell you what we should have done, Dan. We didn't manage that game well enough. That game was calling out for us to play that long ball over the top. When they were pressed up, they were squeezed up high on our blocking off the passing lanes. We should have knocked the ball long over the top early to get Aubameyang in, to try and get them thinking about pushing back. And we didn't play that ball. Had Tierney been playing, he could have played that ball. Had Louise been in the team, he could have played that ball. We didn't recognise what the game needed. And as a result of that, we were just too slow in central midfield. West Ham grew in confidence. And to be honest with you, it was a smash and grab. We did not deserve to win that game, Dan. And in the end, it was an ugly win, as we said. But I was very impressed with West Ham on the night.
Manny, let me bring you in there, because I spoke to you after the game, bro, and it was like, what's going on out there? In parts of that game, it was terrible, not just bad, terrible. And why it was terrible is, if you need any kind of recognition as to why we might need Hosam Aouar and Thomas Partey or reinforcements in midfield, it was because of our poor midfield, I thought, that night. I thought Xhaka and Ceballos off the ball were terrible, like so bad. And Kolasinac is, I don't even want to go into that guy. He just does not deserve to be on that pitch, in my opinion. So the way that I see it there, is that a worry going forward? What's your kind of opinion there? Because for me, Manny, Xhaka and Ceballos, and El Neni, all three of them pour off the ball, in my opinion.
It would be a worry. It's the start of the season, so I'm not too worried about it. You know, there's time to actually work on this. My worry is we already know how bad, Xhaka is off the ball. If you want to be playing in midfield in this day and age, being able to pass a football and being technically sound is not going to be enough. You need to be athletic. You need to be able to go up and down. And we saw the holes. We've been seeing the holes in Xhaka's game since he got here. He may be good on the ball, but when you put pressure on him, when you make him go the other way, Granit Xhaka is not the person you want to go that way. And you saw it with West Ham's goal, when him and Kolasinac just back off, and you just want somebody to go there and to engage, with Bowen. They just let him run until he got into the box. That's when they realized the danger. So I have an issue with that. And there was also an issue with our wing backs. I thought Saka was very underdone in this game. Physically, he looked a bit shaky. He needed a few more games under his belt. He looked like it was his first game of the season. So there were issues everywhere. There was issues with Leno. There was issues with, stopping crosses coming into the box. I know Gabriel is very good in the air, but constantly pumping them balls into the box just put us under pressure repeatedly. Our passing was off. And I felt that Arteta made a mistake when he took off Willian. Just having Willian come off the wing and being that extra man in midfield stopped us from being overrun in certain aspects. Once Willian came off and Pepe came on, you've given West Ham that impetus to go ahead and overrun us even more in midfield, which they did. Pepe didn't do enough in the game. And just like I said about Saka, when you're having a bad game, it's all about what you can do. Can you influence the game even though you're not having the best of games? And that's exactly what Saka did in 2 instances. So you take those as positives. But the complete meltdown that came from this game is just, it's an overreaction, because you need to realize that this is a team that is still developing. This is a team that still needs to understand, how to play and how to play the Arteta way. It's the second game of the season. We're going to learn from this. And these type of bad performances, you take it, you go back, you look at it, and you come back and be better. So I think we'll be better than we were against West Ham. It's nothing to really be worried about.
Well, listen,
Dan,
this is the team that come eighth, and it's added Willian and Gabriel. So it is a bit of a meltdown. It is a bit of an overreaction. Graham, go for it, mate.
Yeah, sorry, mate. I was just going to come in and take. I agree with what Manny said about William coming into midfield, and he did offer some. I think the problem we had on Saturday was our two wing backs were continually high, and they were high, and there was so much space for West Ham to transition through. And I think that was the issue for me, the way they were looking so dangerous every time they broke, because I thought that the wing backs, Saka and Bellerin, were always at the same time high, leaving spaces for them to exploit on the counter. I've got some numbers from the game. You talked about Dani Ceballos, his numbers against West Ham. And I think this was key, actually, because I checked the stats after the game, and him and we talked about what we need in central midfield. They had 221 passes in that game between them, Ceballos and Xhaka, and only one creative pass. The creative pass from Ceballos to win us the game. So the other 220 passes between our two central midfielders did not create one chance. And that is, so if any stat tells you what we're lacking, that stat tells you, Dan. 221 passes between our two central midfielders and only one creative pass. Dani Ceballos' game by numbers for West Ham: 124 touches, 101 passes, 90 pass accuracies, 11 final third entries. But he did have good numbers: 9 duels won, 8 coverage, 3 clearances, 3 tackles made, 3 aerial duel ones, 2 blocks, 1 assist. So he did have a reasonable game. But I just think, look, we saw what we're lacking, and I do think we need someone next to him to sort of create. And I think that. I think that was relevant in that game, that our two central midfielders in the first half were moving the ball too slowly because the passing lanes were blocked off. There was no one touch, two touch, pass and move. Like Fulham, we moved the ball quickly through the lanes because there was sort of lines to pass the ball through. West Ham squeezed us and closed the lines. And so it needed the ball. We needed to do something different. And that's why we needed, I think, to go longer. I was impressed with Gabriel. West Ham would claim they should have had a penalty when it hit him on the arm. I don't know what you boys think about that. And we probably were lucky. We got the marginal offside decision, didn't we, with Laka's goal? That could have been given offside, couldn't it? It was very tight. But I thought Gabriel again was outstanding in the game. And his numbers now for his first 2 games for Arsenal, Dan, are really impressive. 218 touches, 185 completed passes, 93.8 pass completion, 8 clearances, 6 possession won, 2 interception, 2 tackles, and 1 goal. And just the final stats for me on this game: Arsenal have now won 8 and lost none of their last 10 Premier League games at the Emirates. Arsenal have only now failed to score in 3 of their last 72 Premier League games at the Emirates, all against the opposition. Do you know who that opposition is?
Go on.
Man City. And Lacazette has now scored 5 in his last 8 Premier League games for the Gunners. And as I said, the key thing I took out of that game, the stat of the day, I'm going to try and hit you every week with a stat of the day, Dan, and it's this. As I said, I'll just repeat it again because it's so important and why we need to get those transfers over the line we've been talking about. It emphasises our lack of creativity in the middle of the pitch. Xhaka and Ceballos completed 221 passes between them in the game and only created 1 key pass, and that was Ceballos' pass to Eddie Nketiah in the last 5 minutes. And that tells you everything what we're lacking in our central midfield, Dan.
That is an unbelievable stat and one I had no idea about. And that's why I love you, Graham, because you'd always shock me with a stat. Unbelievable. We're going to move on from that game and we are coming to an end. I just want to talk about one last thing for a couple of minutes each. And that is, I'm going to share my screen with the Leicester team. I'm going to talk about one player and one player only, and that is Pepe. Now, I thought last night we had a bit of a kind of good game, really, as far as I was concerned. Personally, I was quite impressed with how we were playing. I don't think we give them much. James Maddison had a real good effort that they did really well to get the shot away and hit the post. Apart from that, they didn't really do too much, Leicester. I think they'd kind of given up on this trophy. We played some youngsters, played really well. I thought El Neni was class. I thought Saka was class. But for me, the one man that was frustrating as ever is this guy here, Nicolas Pepe. Now, on the right-hand side, I find him to be so predictable because he'll come down this side and he'll cut in every single time. Never does he go on the outside and take the player on. So as a left-back, I'm thinking, I'm going to make my debut for Leicester in the young lad who played, and I'm going to be okay because all I need to do is look at where he's going, and he's always coming inside. Now, when he was playing against Chelsea, for me, I'm moving Ketia out of the way. For me, he was so dangerous around this area. When we went to Anfield last year, he was extremely dangerous around this area. And I would love to see Pepe come in more central to have the shots into these corners and to get involved in the two centre-halves around here. He's so silky to get inside and outside of the box. For me, when he's over here, he's kind of right-hand side looking to me as if to say, you know where I'm going. And it's going to be this way. Now, there's the argument that Messi does that, Robin does that. The difference is they've been doing it well and consistently well for 10, 15 years. Pepe, for me, at the moment, is not quite working for him. Manny, I know that you were a massive fan when we got him, Pepe. And I just wanted to come to you on that point because for me, I believe personally, he's got bags of talent. But what is going wrong for Nicolas Pepe at Arsenal at the moment, Manny? Or is it not that bad?
Find the system that suits this guy and watch him fire. You know, the talk that, you know, he always comes inside, You mentioned a few players that do that consistently. Robin did that always. Mahrez always did it. Being one-footed, you know, when you're playing on the wing, even if, you know, the opposition defender knows what you're going to do, you can't stop it because at some point they're going to get there. But in order for him to get there, you need to have a system that works for him. So when you go back to the Sheffield United game in the FA Cup, there was a reason why that was one of his best games, you know, after lockdown, because he had Maitland-Niles who was willing to overlap him, and he had Willock who was willing to get up there, you know, play those 1-2s with him to allow him to get into those positions in order to get the shots. But when you're playing a system where there's not that extra midfielder who's going to break in there, because we were only playing with the two, with a Maitland-Niles who was sort of, you know, restricted coming, you know, to support Pepe, this is what happens. In order to get the best out of this guy, you need to play, you know, that kind of system where he's going to have people to feed off because he needs that room because, like you say, he is very predictable. So in order to take away that predictability away from him, you put the pieces in place to make him more dangerous. Against Chelsea, Frank Lampard, first of all, is a terrible coach. Right? I'll say that now. Frank Lampard is an overrated, terrible coach. What he failed to do, right, is he had free in midfield, but Rudiger was following Pepe wherever he was going. So that allowed Pepe to drift off. That allowed Pepe to do what he wanted to do. Chelsea played into our hands in that game, hence why Pepe was so effective. But in the long run, in order to get the best out of him, put the pieces there and see what happens. There's no need to worry about this guy. He will fire. Just give him time.
Fair play, Manny. I don't think we can say fairer than that. Graham, quickly on Pepe before we wrap up.
Yeah, I think Manny's virtually nailed it there. I think Maitland-Niles played last night, and I thought that Maitland-Niles and him at times last season had quite a good understanding, but Maitland-Niles wasn't really at it last night, whether he's been playing on the left and coming over to the right. He didn't understand the role he had to play. He didn't really offer anything to Pepe. I think Pepe has an over-reliance on his left foot, and he does slow the play down sometimes when coming inside, which makes him ineffective. Me and you, Dan, have talked about playing him central. But if he is the continuous role, he needs a creator. He does need a creator. And Manny has absolutely nailed it. That performance against Sheffield United, for me, was because he had Joe Willock making runs between the fullback and the centre-half, which opened up spaces for him to run into. And at the moment, he's just got people on him all the time and there's no space. So I think in this system doesn't work for him. We need to change the system to get more out of him. He needs a creator. He needs a creator to feed him in quicker, which Hassan Mawar will be if we got him. Or we need a central midfielder, an attacking central midfielder, who, as I say, makes runs between the fullback and the centre-half to open up spaces for him. And I think he had that sort of combination going in his former club, a guy out wide or a guy from midfield to combine with. And at the moment, I think that's why we're not seeing the best of him, Dan.
Yeah, and I think it's a great shout. I believe personally there's bags of talent there, and I really want to see him deliver because everybody at the moment is talking about Pepe being a waste of money. Boys, it's been an absolute pleasure. We have just about overrun, but I think we've covered everything. We have crammed a lot in. Manny, thank you so much, man, for coming on again. Always a pleasure, bro. And back by popular demand, you're being loved on Twitter and on this podcast, man. So thanks for coming on, man.
Well, that's a rarity, man. So I appreciate the love, man. Thank you for having me, as always.
No worries, man.
He's got a voice that soothes the listeners, isn't he?
He has, man. He has. If he told bedtime stories, everyone would be literally like, "That's what you need for relaxation." I tell you that. You just need a money. But no, I'm a big fan, and much love, bruv. And Graham, as always, mate, thank you so much for your insight. I really appreciate this. I'm loving it, and it's been great. Another great show.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it tonight, mate. We had 6,800 on the first show, well over 5,000 last week. And I hope we get good numbers this week. I think what we're putting out is really good content, and I think hats off to you, mate, because I think you've taken to this hosting role really well, and you are running this with real distinction, mate. I'm really enjoying working with you, and having Manny on as well has made it even better. So it's a good show. I think we've got something good here, Dan, and we do want to grow it during the season. We will add to it, but it's started really well, mate. I'm really pleased and a privilege to be on as always.
Well, listen, I'm doing my best, and you are good at what you do, man. You are absolutely great at what you do in terms of the way that you look at football. We're trying to bring technology in, and I hope the viewers are enjoying it. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching in the live chat. Big up to Mark Partridge, who just said something very important. It would be amazing if you guys would hit the like button and support the lads. Please, if you do like what we do, then please hit the like button, subscribe to us. Send us feedback. Me and Graham always listen to comments on YouTube and Twitter. If you want something to added or taken away, then we will not be offended. We will try and do what we can to put out the content that you will want to tune into. So thank you all so much for watching. On Tuesday night, we'll be back, same old Arsenal, after the Monday night's game. Hopefully we'll get a good result up at Anfield, and we can talk about it on Tuesday with me and the guys. So please join us then. Until then, up the Arsenal.